right, we are live. chainEDGE workshop number 4. Thank you guys for joining. Hopefully you can hear me okay. As always, you can drop any questions at any time right into the chat. We can wait like 30 more seconds to see if anyone else wants to join. All right, here we go. A couple more people are joining now, so let's get started. So this is the new and improved homepage for chainEDGE, which I think is pretty cool. So now instead of trying to go through the summary page and trying to build, looking for either new ideas or trying to get macro context, I think this page makes it a lot easier. Especially, excluding stables, ETH, Bitcoin. So I spend the most of my time here on the top left where you can filter flows by market cap. So, depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for big trades, you can obviously filter for, the big real tokens. And at the same time, you can also filter by token age. So for prime degenning, I find myself filtering in the 0 to 2 or 3 to 5 year old token category, and then this will spit out things that are that old, and then you can see all of the garbage that ends up in here. And as mentioned before, we will launch a separate dashboard that kind of does that process, but will be more like the alpha stream in terms of new launches, so you can see the data live, because this is still a somewhat inefficient way of getting that data. But just at least for quickly looking, I think this is pretty cool. You can see the same thing, without the filters. You also just get a quick sense of what's in, what's the flavor of the day. So, like Pepe, you can see what people are bearish on. Like LBR has been quite bearish over the last day or so. And now there's a kind of research tab where you can see, like, I put together just research summaries of what I see going through the site. So if you're looking for just like a quick analysis of the data feeds and what we're seeing and some of the abnormal indicators we find, that's the place where you can find it. Scrolling down, I think these are really cool because it gives you a lot of context over what smart money is doing at the token category and market cap levels. So you can look by day, week, or month and see, what's getting inflows or outflows in terms of activity, right? So this is swap activity. And so, in things like, this one's by market cap, if you look by week, you can see when like the meme coin stuff happens, because you'll see a lot more activity in the like really tiny buckets. But, if you're looking for like macro direction, like I find myself looking at this one by week and seeing when stable outflows are big, because that means obviously that there is net accumulation going on, right? Going down further, you can see which tokens have made people the most money, and then you can see their swap amounts over the last 1 and 7 days. So this way you're like basically backing into, okay, these, our traders are good at these tokens, right? And even though they're mostly meme tokens, except for a couple of them, they're good at trading them. And so you can see, like they're buying more of Pepe, right? Like our guys are good at trading Pepe. They crushed it. They're buying Pepe. That's kind of interesting, right? And if you were watching closely, when the sentiment turned positive on Pepe, like the token increased like 65% or something. Further down, now there is the highly requested kind of smart money leaderboard with the highest realized P&L over the last 6 months. I think it's important to note that this isn't everybody, right? So this doesn't include all traders over the last 6 months, but this is, who we deem smart. And so this is trying to adjust out like one-hit wonders that lost money on 50 trades, and then on their 51st trade, they bought Pepe and made $1 million. Like, that's not a person you really want to follow, versus all of these people are consistently very good. If we look at like our top one and we pull it up, they are very good. As mentioned in the email yesterday, the algorithm is now automatically adding new smart money traders. And so a lot of times you'll see those noted with the little fire emoji that's to let you know like they're heating up, they're doing well. And those are like the type of people now that caught FUMO early, like 15 hours ago. That's been like a 30x for some of the people that got in. But if you look at this guy, like pretty good. Like anything he touches is usually a very good trade. He's had basically one very tiny loser and a lot of very good winners. Obviously a very good token. Trader to watch. Going back to my example on Pepe, if you ever see a chart that's kind of dead in terms of activity and you start seeing the smart money come back, it's usually a good time to buy. So obviously smart money came back at like 140 and now it trades at like 175. Like pretty good. But yeah, like I think there's a lot of cool things you can do now with the new homepage, and there's a couple things that we're working on adding in terms of other dashboards. The main one that we're focusing on now is because we have all of these tokens categorized into market cap bins, we have P&L by trader by market cap bin, right? So traders that are making money on things like Stargate and Ape and Blur are different than guys that make money on Pepe and things like the guy we were looking at who made money on like 4, right? And so the next dashboard we're going to do and eventually stream in sex trades is, show me activity within these market cap bins of people that are high P&L in those market cap bins, which I think is kind of innovative. No one else has really tried to do that. Because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is give you signals and help you make money. The other thing we're working on is like just sheer anomalies. Because still sometimes people get lost in all of the data and they just want to know like, okay, what should I ape right now? What's the move? And so I've already built, and now we're starting to build the front end to put them in here as another dashboard of when we just see like an anomaly in terms of the amount of money going into a token that's new, or there's just so many traders coming into it. So like one that set it off last night was actually FUMO, which has obviously been very good. And I actually think someone in the Discord hit like a 4x on it yesterday. But we're building a dashboard to make it easier to, catch those moves real time. But if you're ever looking for good traders to just follow and set up alerts on, just as a refresher, if you're paying attention, you see things like FUMO that did really well. Just search the token in the alpha streamer, go to the token page, and then go to like who was early. And then these are obviously the people that you want to follow. And if you look, outside of the new launch bots that are hard to copy trade, even though they always crush it, there's plenty of people that were buying in the 1 to 3 to 5,000 per token price, and now it trades, I think, at 60,000. So yeah, I mean, you know, we had a lot of smart traders that were in pretty early. So, you know, if you see one of these you like, obviously you can audit their trading history by going into the DEX P&L tab on any of their wallets. And, you know, if you see something like this, like what I personally always look for is like a lot of winners above, you know, making 10K or more, like consistently. Because that's means like every time they touch something good is going to happen. Like this is obviously a very good example of a nice clean wallet to follow. You know, and they're not super active, right? There's only so many trades here. They're not a bot. But yeah, so that's some of the stuff we got going. I think this homepage will make it a lot easier to get a sense of what's going on in terms of macro context with the historical data. You have like the 24-hour data kind of summarized and excluding all of the noise and stables, ETH, LSDs, Bitcoin. You can filter by market cap. You can filter by chainEDGE. Like there's nothing else that really lets you do that. So like it's pretty cool, and it's only going to get better. The other thing we're working on and hopefully adding in the next month or so will be kind of a narrative God dashboard. That one's gotten delayed a little bit, but basically all these tokens, right, have a different category, whether it's meme tokens or like trading tools like Unibot or their LSD file like LBR. And so you'll see a page that looks something like this summary page that used to be the home page. But it will be split into narratives. So then you can see like, oh, the, you know, it's basically all meme tokens right now, or trading tools are picking up a lot of steam. And so then you can think of, like if there's tokens that are within any of these categories that are on your radar, you know, it's kind of a signal that that narrative is picking up steam. So it'll be a page kind of like this, but instead of the token names here, it will be the narratives. And then obviously we'll add in the same filters like the homepage, so you can filter by market cap, token age, etc. Which, you know, basically is like the best narratives tool that you could find for, you know, on-chain tokens. The other big thing we're working on is like implied centralized exchange trades. So like when, you know, like this is just one facet of the market, right? But you know, there's a lot of volume in tokens that trade on things like Binance, Coinbase, whatever. So what we're going to do is add in a bunch of different dashboards on just those tokens. You know, basically, if you've ever watched how a lot of these institutions trade those tokens, is they'll buy them on Binance, then they'll send them to their wallet, and then when they want to sell, they'll send it back to Binance. And so we're going to, you know, follow the structure that we have here, but add in stuff like that, which kind of increases the amount of potential alpha wallets, token ideas, whatever you'll be able to find, which we think will be pretty cool. And then we have some other, you know, on the centralized exchange data as well that we're going to layer in. So yeah, I mean, that's what we have going right now. If any of you have questions about chainEDGE, token ideas, whatever, you can always drop them in the chat. I know last time we had a pretty interactive conversation, but any questions about anything, feel free to drop them in there. Yeah, I think like yesterday, someone that crushed it on Fumo literally just, and I know some people that do this, they just sit on the alpha stream and they just watch for, just like something like this, like a block of buys across, a certain token that you just see a lot of, like Griffin. I don't know anything about it, but now you could go from here and it basically is the top of funnel for you to be like, oh, I don't know what Griffin is. Like, I should check it out. You can check the hash. You go check the contract, make sure it's not a rug or a scam or anything. How would you personally use the new dashboard? Previously, we would go to Alpha Stream, filter for no stables. Oh, so you could do the same thing, right? So the Alpha Stream is not gone. So for new ideas, I typically like to... I get lost in the Alpha Stream sometime, and I also don't... I can't spend all day looking at this. I really like using the chainEDGE filters on the homepage. Yeah, I'll answer your question in a second, Debo, because I actually struggle too. So like the really quick, like basically the most efficient alpha stream, like you're basically trying to get the alpha stream without looking at it, is just filtering for 0 to 2 days, because that's all new launches, and just going in here. And so like, and I write about this a little bit in the research summaries, but if I'm looking for like new tokens to ape, so like degen stuff, I literally just filter here and I just look at these every day. And if I see one that's like not total BS, like actually FUMO, that's like, it's that easy. Like it's like brand new tokens, smart money's buying, something's up. Like now, I mean, I think the flows on FUMO have went pretty negative, because I think a lot of the early people made a lot of money, but that's like the first thing I do. The second thing I usually like to do is I go in Alpha Stream and I type in just wallets that I like. But like personally, the best thing to do is take, here's how you can filter by like the cohorts, is if you just take the little emoji, like the fire emoji, for example, you get all the people that have made the most money over the last 6 months, right? And then just look at what they're doing, because these guys are very good, right? Because like the problem with any other tool that does smart money is they have like people that crushed it on Shiba back in 2021. Like that's not that helpful. Like all of these, less than 4 hours contract age. I mean, the new launch dashboard is obviously going to be great for that, because it will just be the alpha stream like this, but it will have, it'll be modified to have like how old the contract is, like down to the minute. It'll have a D.Phi contract score, so you know if it's any good or not. So basically within that new launch dashboard, like that's the place to go, right? So that's being built right now, but that's like basically does what you're talking about, Parsa. But yeah, the other thing I like to do is put in the fire emoji and just see what these guys are doing, because like it or not, there's really nothing other than like it's really just a lot of, I'm not sure I understand your question, Parsa. Like this is like the easiest way to see what the best people are doing, and because like most of the real money making trades right now are all in relatively garbage tokens, like these guys are just good at them right now. All right, now I'll do your question, Eleni. Changes. Oh, okay. So you're talking about this page. Nope. I don't have one open. So the swap summary is taking just the sum of the transaction values of the directional swaps, right? So if I buy 5K of a token, that's positive 5K. If I turn around and sell it, that's a negative 5K. Then it's net. So the reason you do that is because you're trying to spot net accumulation in just swap activity, like Pepe, right? Like Pepe's example, that's exactly why these are positive. That's what's going on. So it's literally the dollar value of the netting of the buys and sells for any of these tokens. Right, so like Unibot, like all bullish, right? Like smart money is net accumulating. So you can look at it in a number of different ways, but like once you understand like that's how it works, if you look at like Unibot, for example, just on the homepage, when there are, like when the 7 and 30 day have a big change, usually you can tell if people are accelerating their buys or they're decelerating or selling. So like if Unibot, if the 30-day flows are 65K, but 50K of that's in the last 7 days, that means people are getting bullish on it right now. So if you go to it, you can actually see it right in the chart, right? Like pretty bullish. And this, this is the new one too. So sometimes it gets a little complicated when like they do a token migration. So these are people that are buying the new version, and obviously it's like pretty all bullish. And if you're going through these charts, what I typically look for, LBR is a good example when you're actually trying to like understand what's going on in the charts, is when you start seeing the sells. I wonder how long ago is this? I think we can do it on 30 days. Nope. Okay. So, like just simplistically, like usually when the buys are outpacing the sells, it's relatively bullish, and you can see it here. The buys are coming in, the price is going up, and then once the sells are starting to outpace the buys, the game is starting to roll over, right? And so, like if you look here, basically the biggest amount of sells started happening as soon as the token started losing steam, right? And while there was some net accumulation here, like obviously it kind of just went into a downdraft, and after that, and that's just like general token hype cycles, It's like nothing. There's people that buy early. There's people that buy into the momentum. The momentum starts to die. Obviously, our smart money started to sell pretty aggressively. And there's still some smart people that were buying because it didn't really go down that much. And then obviously the flows have been basically bearish ever since, with some people that are probably buying for longer term holds. But that's like what I look for in terms of like at the chart. But like I said in the Pepe example, like the other thing I like to look for is like if I pull up Pepe, when the chart is kind of dead, hopefully this is the right Pepe. When the chart is dead in terms of like both price action and smart money movements, and then you see a little spike, it's usually a sign of something going on. Because these traders are always going to be in like the most volatile tokens, and obviously they're smart. So usually when they start coming back to a token after being gone for so long, it's usually a very good sign. And obviously for Pepe it was. Is there a total Bitcoin or total ETH net? Yes. So we're working on that because doing realized P&L on ETH gets really messy because like if you look through here, like all of these are trades on ETH, right? So like it's a mess. But so what we're going to do is fold in both Binance smart money data, so like people that are actually making a lot of money on Binance, and then the other thing for centralized exchanges is and these are going to be completely different cohorts, right? Because like these people are not good Bitcoin and ETH traders, right? That's not what most of them do. We have plenty in here that are, but like especially these top 6 month traders, right? Like they are like good at the on-chain game. And so what we're going to do to try to round out the smart money cohort is add people that are buying ETH on Binance and then withdraw to their wallet at the beginning of the year when ETH was 1,200, and then they send it back to Binance when ETH hit like 1,900. And then we'll build, like a whole different set of analytics and activity around those guys, because it's much cleaner and easier to do. And at the same time, there's going to be a lot more volume, because just looking at the data, like there's a lot more activity, a lot bigger wallets. That's how they trade, right? Because they are strained by the amount of liquidity that's actually on the on-chain tokens. And then that also helped you find ideas for what like all of the centralized exchange people are trading. So things like Render has been really good, right? But like the on-chain liquidity of Render is really low. And so it will give you signals if you're someone that trades both on-chain stuff and centralized exchange stuff, we're going to build it so like you'll get notified of things like that too, kind of in a separate place. And then I think that'll also improve, like right now on the homepage, we have a little bit of macro context, right, with how people are trading. But now that we'll be kind of tapping into the centralized exchange part of the data, we'll be able to get a lot better, data in front of you about, what people are doing on ETH and Bitcoin for market direction and stuff. Because like the people that are really good at ETH and Bitcoin really aren't doing it on chain. So by folding in both Binance Smart Money data, so that's actually trades that are happening on Binance that we have data for, and then trades that are happening where they're buying, withdrawing from Binance, and then when they go to sell, they send it back to Binance. I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah. So the other question is, knowing whether stables come in, go out on chain, or sexes would be cool too. So what we could do is like another analytics thing that I want to build, and so we'll mash these two together, is basically what I call like net accumulation. So we have this data, right, for on-chain traders, then we'll have the other data for centralized exchange traders. And the idea is when stables are going out, that is net accumulation, right? Because everything else is your, like if let's say stables is flat, right? Like all a person on chain right now looking at this data is doing is trading like ETH or staked ETH into something else. So when you see like a change from this to this, right? Like all they're doing is they have a set amount of stables back that they're not touching. They're just trading ETH for something else or from something else back into ETH. But if you've watched the stables, you're looking for like net accumulation, which I would take as bullish, and then you can kind of see where that accumulation is going. So yes, we'll try to get something in here, putting all this data together. Because like we don't want to just be like a on-chain analytics, product. Like I don't really care about that. Like all I really want to do is help make people money. Because then, if I make all of you lots of money, the tool will obviously be very big. So we started with the on-chain stuff because that's what we know, but the other stuff isn't going to be too difficult. Oh yeah, now you can actually see FUMO in here, and you can see the flows went very negative because our guys got in really early and now sold a ton of it. Did you catch FUMO yourself? If you did, could you kindly explain your story, how chainEDGE helps you? Yes, so I caught it, and I know someone in the Discord did too. I caught it by doing every day. When I kind of get into my office, I always check the brand new tokens in here because, like, as it relates to on-chain like token stuff, like the brand new tokens is like where a lot of the magic happens. And you have to be early, and so both between that and then we actually have our own like things that spot anomalies in this data, right? Because these are like by far the best set of smart money traders that anyone has, right? Like no one else has it, and it's also cross-chain too, right? Like, I mean, no one really cares anymore because there's really not that much activity. But for anyone that's in here that's new, let me like pull up an alpha stream. Like we have all the chains in here, right? Like ETH dominates everything now, but like back when Arbitrum was hot, like there was no other place to really get good smart money data. And so if Arbitrum ever gets exciting again, you know, like we have it. And it's all swap data too, so you know people are actually buying. So yes, I did find Fubo using this. I wouldn't have found it any other way. Like that's like the goal, right? Is we keep on building this, right? I mean, we've already been at this for a year. Like the goal is to get this to a point where it's like this is getting you into good ideas before you see them or hear about them on Twitter, right? Because like I'm hearing about Fumo today, but when the token launched 18 hours ago, like if I just go in here and I search Fubo, like you can see our guys were buying at 2,000, 3,000. I think some people got in even earlier than that. And there's a lot of them, right? Because like that's the power of having all of these traders together. So like the point of the tool, right, is like you can watch individual traders, but individual traders, it's because I have my chain set on ARB. Like the problem with individual traders is they don't catch everything, right? But when you jam all of these people that aren't actually, you know, they're all unique. Once you have them all together, you can see the way they move in a herd in different tokens. Like you'll see them all be early to certain things like Fumo. And so that's the goal. So then you'll be able to spot it before others and obviously crush it. Yeah, I mean, look at these buys, like all very good buys. Okay, next question. Ooh, how a DeFi farmer could use it. So these, because it's all swap data, there are people in here that are good farmers, but not for like stablecoin farming. If you're looking for like if you remember Swapfish, like on Arbitrum, like if you're gonna farm like in the LP, they have to buy it first, right? And so you'll see the people actually buying it, so you can backdoor your way into farms. I've thought about building farming specific dashboards and tools, but realistically, there's just not that many farms that people are excited about, so we haven't really focused on it yet. But if you're looking for new farms, you'll find it just within the alpha stream where the chainEDGE filter and stuff like that, because people still need to buy the token to get involved. So like when Chronos launched, there was tons of people buying Chronos to farm it, if that makes sense. Any more questions? How do you spot a good window to sell? So it's tough. So I actually usually use this to find the buys, and then I kind of sell based on, you know, I either think the project's losing momentum or it's just gotten to kind of too crazy of a price too fast. But if you look at like the token, I find myself looking at like the token pages, because the token pages usually give you a pretty good sense of when to sell. Right? Like you're looking for a buy here, obviously. And then, because like, if you think about the smart money traders, right? Like they're smart, but they're not that smart. So like you have the people that are obviously early, and then you have the people that are the momentum chasers, right? And they'll both make money. But even these people don't always make money. And so when you see kind of like a reversal in the flows, it's usually bearish. And that's obviously what happened with Pepe. You can see the same thing in LBR. So like the easiest way to just make sure that you're always on the right side of these dynamics is you're buying early on things that have like staying power. And to find that, you're looking for things that have a lot of people buying in size. Not people that are just like throwing $200 at some random token. So hopefully that kind of answers it. But I mean, I think the selling process in general, you have to use like your own frameworks to know when you want to get out. Because if you get a good entry, like if you think about like the point of the tool it's like the top of your idea generation funnel. Like this is where you're going to find, what should I be doing? What are people doing right now? If you find a good one, like a FUMO, like when's a good time to sell? Like that's kind of more up to you. Like if you got in early because of the tool and now you're sitting at a 4x, a 10x, like you could hang on. But I mean, like if you look at the data already, it's went negative, quite negative. So maybe now would be the time. But I think you kind of have to build your own process in that regard. And anything else? If not, we can wrap it up. I get it. And I mean, like I guess we're still learning it too, right? Because we're building all of this very, like this isn't a copy of anything, right? Like we built all of this from scratch. I designed all of this by hand. So we're still trying to come up with the best ways to, like, we have awesome data, right? We have awesome traders. Like we're trying to figure out more and more ways to use, to basically give you the best insights from it, if that makes sense. Because like a big part of like building it over the last year has just been getting the P&L algorithm down, getting the algorithm to add people that are having good P&L down, making sure that we have clean cross-chain swap data. Like that has been our focus for a long time. I forgot about you, Debo. I'll come back to it in just a second. But now like we're going to be focusing on ways we can cut this data and bring you make it like very easy, very simplistic to find great ideas, right? Like we're getting closer. But we're going to keep building dashboards to get you there. All right, Debo, your question was, hi, I struggle how to manage them with a full-time job. If you're starting with small capital, like the $5,000 you talked about, personally, I would, you're going to want to hang out in this brand new contract range or even get something like the new launch dashboard once it's out, because it's really only new launches, until there's like an actual bull market. Like there's only things like FUBO, right? Like buying them before anyone else, and then at 10x's is the only way you're gonna like really be able to multiply that capital. I mean, there's like examples of things like Unibot. Like if you're reading the newsletter, I think it's like doubled now from when I talked about it. Like, you can get like smaller wins like that later on in the token's life. But like if you're really trying to like ramp it up, and obviously don't throw it all into one token because, it could get rugged. But like if it was me, I'd do a combination of watching all of these new launches and seeing what's going on, doing my own research on them, taking each contract, right? Because you can go in here, you can click the token, now you have the token ID. You can run that through D.Fi's contract scanner to see what's going on. The other thing I always watch for on these new launches is like watching to make sure, because a lot of these people in here are just like programmatically, they ape everything extremely early and then they turn around and sell. But like a lot of these, fire emoji, the people that are crushing it over the last 6 months, like usually they kind of stick around. And so like I think I wrote about this once in a newsletter. Like I would actually do it like on paper, like don't even trade it. Like I would say like, okay, analyze this situation, right? Like this is, I think the token is called autism or tism. Looking at the flows, it's like a brand new token. It's mostly inflows. It looks like, would you buy this? How much would you buy? And kind of doing it almost like as practice for a little while. I actually did that when I started. And once you kind of feel like you've got a sense of what's going to do well, then you can start aping yourself, or you just find a wallet that you really like. Like this one is actually pretty good. I think this is a new addition. This Cooker Flips. I think he's on Twitter. I think he made like $250,000 on Fumo yesterday, and it already realized those gains. So like he could be a good one, worth watching. So I mean, I know you don't have a lot of time, like you mentioned, but just the process of going through and filtering by age and then checking these out, and aping where you think it looks good. I think it, hopefully that should get you going somewhere. Oh yeah, so the P&P launch. So if you're trying to get into things like that, I would use like, you could use like Maestro or Unibot to actually bot it using one of the Telegram bots. I think that's like the easiest way, personally. Because I mean, you're not going to be able to like get in before or at the same time as somebody like this, like OxAF, one of the new launch bots. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Racing Lab. Like in the alpha channel, which really isn't, I mean, it's kind of alpha, kind of not. Like there's a bunch of like new launch ideas too. So you can always look in there. Can we have lower age contract? I mean, you can filter by contract age. I think we already talked about that, so we don't really need to talk about that, Parsa. Yeah, but like I was saying, you can always just like ping me or DM me on Discord, and I'll try to help you look at a token, and see like if I think it's any good or not. Because you obviously have to be careful. Like a lot of these do not have like, I mean, I don't even know if Fumo will have staying power, but some of these like are real quick flips for these guys. So that's why if you're looking for like, when you see like a lot of inflows, like yesterday, I think Fumo had like 50K of inflows or something, then like it, it might be a quick flip, but it's not going to be like a 1 hour flip. It might be like a 1 day flip. So you kind of have to watch the data. But some of these like smaller ones are things you'll see in the alpha stream. If they're aping just a little, like they're going to probably like open ocean. You might not have staying power. So you kind of have to just watch and do your own diligence to make sure it's not just like a thing that all of the people are just going to turn around and sell like an hour later. Yep. Your point on the token chart is noted. I'll actually write that down for my guys. I also find it hard to see the buys. So we will. Yeah, I mean, so we had the circles on the charts, but even those wasn't really that clean. So we'll think of a way to make the charts better. I mean, like I like it because you can kind of clearly see the direction. But like when there's big moves like this one and this one, I think it messes up the scale. So then you can barely see like these buys at the end. So we have to think of a way to make that better. Ways to avoid honeypots and rugs. So you use the checkers and they still were honeypots. I mean, on honeypots, usually you can kind of spot it. I mean, I think they've gotten pretty smart about, I mean, back in the day, like, you could spot it because there was no cells. Now I think they wash trade some cells to make it look like you can sell. But usually the easy way to tell with our data is if you're on like a token page and you can see that people are actually able to sell like this, right? Like they can buy, they can sell. That's usually the quickest way, at least within our site, to be able to tell if it's a honeypot or not. But just watching out for rugs in general, it's tough, you know. I mean, I don't know which checker you're using. Like D.5s is usually pretty good, but sometimes people just rug liquidity. Like I know we had a bunch of people, we had a lot of traders buy like Turbo Jimbo, I think, on Arbitrum, and I think that one's still rugged. So you kind of have to come up with your own, methodology. We've thought about building like our own kind of analyzer with all of our data, but we're not there yet. Because I know that's like a common problem for people that are trying to buy brand new tokens. Add an NFT section. So we'll eventually do that. We haven't been focused on it now because like NFT volumes are very low and no one really cares about them. But it's real easy for us to do. So we'll eventually do it. Just hasn't been a focus. But it's a lot easier actually than everything else we've done. So we could probably do it. Any upcoming exciting features? So right now we're finishing up the market cap bins feature, which basically is just you're trying to extract, what kind of tokens are people good at, and then show me only those movements. Because like I've seen a lot of examples of someone that has like a really high, they have a good track record, but it's on like GMX, Blur, Unibot, LBR. Then they go and they try to buy 4 and Mr. F was here and they don't do very well. So you're basically trying to clean the data for just what people are good at. And then that will only get better once we add in like some of the centralized exchange trades too for things that are like bigger market caps. But I think that one's the most, that one's going to be coming the most soon. I think it's almost done now, so it'll probably be out sometime next week. And then just all the other features that we'll be rolling out over the next couple of months are like the narrative god dashboard, right, which puts all of these tokens, let me find a good example. It puts all of these into categories. So then you can kind of, see, like the perpdex narrative is kind of cooling off. Maybe I should, if I hold some of, something in that narrative, maybe I should worry about maybe taking some off, or vice versa. There's going to be a new launch dashboard. There's going to be a stealth wallets dashboard. I'm probably even missing some. There's going to be a Binance Smart Money dashboard. What else? Those are the major ones. I'm trying to think of more. Yeah, those are the major ones. And then the Twitter tool. That one's probably last on the list. That kind of takes. So some people use these, but let's just walk through an example of how we've started building it, but how it works is, so if you take something like, I don't have one open. If you take something like Pepe, right? picture this chart, but it was Pepe's Twitter, not Pepe's, like these are Twitter followers instead of money movements. So people that were following Pepe early, we're basically going to build a tool that tells you what they're following now and like the Twitter profile's age. So you're basically it's going to be like the same process of like trying to spot new token ideas, but it'll actually be at the Twitter account level. So you'll be able to spot, it might even be able to get you into like new launches, like new private rounds, stuff like that. So that's like one of the last things we're working on. Sorry for a silly question. How do you spell the checker? Here, I'll just type it because I actually struggle with it every time people talk about it. It's literally D.Fi. It's DeFi with a dot in the middle. And like I said, we're going to build a new launch dashboard that will look like this, except it will have, the contract age, and you'll be able to filter the contract age, and then the D.Fi score. And so, you'll be able to basically see like a stream of what's going on in terms of new launches. And then, you can see like, oh, the contract looks good. It doesn't have like a infinite mint function, or the liquidity's not locked or stuff like that. And so, it should help you kind of find new things to ape pretty easily. Any more questions? If not, we can wrap it up. For those top P&L traders, so you're talking about like the leaderboard, like this down here. Yes, this is, it nets the gains and losses. So I think we looked at this one. So this isn't just their gains, and this is optimized for people that are good at making money. So not a great example, but so they made 2.2 million, and obviously they had just this loss here of $3,000. So it's the sum of the realized gains and losses. So like people that lose a lot of money, and I bet you could actually find some that aren't very good. Yeah. And so you can find some that aren't very good in here. And those will be programmatically scrubbed. But yes, it includes losses they make. And if our algos pick up that their activity is just not very good and they're not a very good trader anymore, even though they used to be, then we scrub them out. Hopefully that answers your question, Alex. Yeah, I mean, you can, I think there's like the 1 week trials we brought back, so you can always just trial it. But yeah, glad to have you try it out. And I mean, we're just going to keep making it better and better. Like there's no VCs, this is my product. I built this, for myself. I designed it. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. So I think the people that have booked, for a 1 year subscription are going to keep getting very surprised at how cool the tool gets as we keep building out more features. Thanks for building a great platform. You're still in the red. Yeah, well, when the markets, once it gets a little euphoria back, that's when the tool really shines. The nice thing about it is like there's always a trade to be made, right? Like even when the market was bad, like even now the market's not great. Like you could still spot things like FUMO. But when the market starts getting kind of crazy, like it did earlier this year, there's a lot of ideas that will come through here. And so hopefully, if you hang around for a little bit of euphoria, you'll be able to find all the new launches and all of the good stuff. But I mean, the market hasn't been great for months, and if you look at all these tokens where some of the best gains came, they've all been pretty recent. Yeah, that's a good point. Don't force yourself. Like, I haven't really been trading much because I don't have the time. I usually just wait till I see something like that really stands out to me within our data, or I just ape into private rounds where I'm locked up for a year so I can wait for the market to get better by the time I can actually sell my tokens. So awesome. Well, we've been at it now for almost an hour. So if there's no final questions, we'll wrap it up here. We'll try to make sure we do one of these a month going forward, but this has been a good one, and thank you for those of you in the chat for making this more interactive so I don't just have to sit here and talk to myself. All right. Yep, thank you.